3 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. Happy Thursday to you. We love featuring indie artists on the show. Now it's time to head to North Carolina to chat with award-winning singer-songwriter Jennifer Alvarado. Jennifer busted out during COVID with a bunch of singles, and that's exploded her on the indie music scene. Her latest EP, Songbird Part 1, is out now. Her brand new single, Trigger Warning, comes out tomorrow, and it's off Songbird Part 2. We're excited to have Jennifer Alvarado on the show. First, Jen, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, first of all, your fans are called avocados. I get the Alvarado avocado, but this is awesome. Where did you get this? Who came up with this?
Honestly, one of my friends was like, why don't you just start using avocado? Because honestly, people kept screwing up my name. And they would joke and say avocado, but then they would accidentally call me Jennifer Avocado. And so it just kind of stuck after a while. So I was like, you know what? Let's make something good out of this.
Let's make our fans avocados instead. Yeah. Did you grow up in North Carolina?
I did. I grew up in Hickory, and my husband's also from North Carolina. So when we got married, we moved to Vail to be closer to his family, and just that's where we found our house. And but yeah, we were born, raised, everything in Hickory and North Carolina.
Yeah. Your first album came out in 2015. It was a contemporary Christian album. COVID hits. You totally do a complete 360 and go to pop country. Were these songs done? Were you holding on to these songs? What was it?
They were done. They were mostly done. I have been a huge fan of country music since I was little. I mean, since I was 4 years old. And honestly, I've always wanted to go into country music. And I think growing up in the church and then becoming a worship leader, it was just sort of that was my path. And I think for me, I never wanted to promote myself. I always wanted it to be about, God and the platform of that, and I never wanted to kind of commingle with the two. And so COVID was sort of, when you're stuck at home, I guess you feel like you have some freedoms that you didn't have before. And so I felt like, what, it's okay if I just put these out and see what happens. But really, I mean, with the contemporary Christian album, for example, like I never promoted it. I never really did anything with it other than, taking the songs and singing them at different churches. But I never wanted that platform to be about me. And, I still don't. I still want it to be about the music and about what God can do with the music.
Yeah. Well, your faith, you must have grew up in a religious family because you started singing in the choir when you were young. You were even teaching like faith formation or something in high school. Yeah. So, yes, we all, I have believed since I was born, I guess. Like, that's never been something that I've wondered about. So I was brought up in the faith, and I think I got involved in church at a really young age. And then for me, it was just, that was my happy place. That was my safety place, I guess, where, I went to preschool at church. I went to Sunday school at church. Like I was always at church. Yeah. And so it was just, I don't know how to explain it. But my parents were not necessarily involved that much in church. I went with my grandparents. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I was a late person to the faith as far as like being baptized and the rest of my family, they were deacons and all this, and like it was like, okay, she's different. Why? She's not always at church like we are. But then I actually was. It was a little different. It was always with music. It was always with other ministries, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I both grew up in it and didn't. Like I always grew up believing, but I wasn't necessarily involved until I was probably 13 or 14.
Huh. I saw a psalm. Now I can't see where I saw it, but delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart.
Yeah, Psalm 37:4. That's actually my favorite verse. That's been my favorite verse since I was really little. And over time, that psalm has definitely changed its meaning. Just from the standpoint of, I think when you're little, you read that psalm and you think, oh, all I have to do is ask God for this, this, and this. And over time, that psalm has kind of changed to where I now know that it's about aligning yourself with what God's will is and what His heart says. And if you're on the same page with that, then He'll bring about those things in your life.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of been your path too when you look at it that way, from where you were and to now. And yeah, it's just it's crazy. But you're a recovery counselor. Has that changed your music? Because it seems like you've been writing more sad songs.
I think I've just always loved sad songs. I like what music can do to provoke stuff. Like I can remember when I was really young, one of my favorite songs was Richard Marx, Right Here Waiting for You. And it's not really a sad song, but it's the fact of, like, it's in a minor key, and it's like, I don't know, like, minor keys always did something to me. And so I love that emotion that comes from sad sounding songs. I think definitely the recovery aspect has had an effect on me, from the standpoint of I never want music to be, I want music to be a therapy. I don't want it to be something that harms somebody else. Even if the subject matter might be slamming somebody just to a certain degree, I want it to still be a part of growing personally. Like I want it to be about empowerment of the person, not necessarily just slamming this person. And so I think with the recovery aspect, that sense of hope is what I'm hoping comes across with so much of my music.
Yeah. Well, we just played Curious, which is off Songbird Part 1. I heard where you said that Rock This Way, the first track off Songbird Part 1, you wrote that because you just had to write something upbeat.
Yes. So, yeah, and I was coming out of this period of time where, like, I was just out of sync with writing, and I had not written in a while, and so I was like, I really need an upbeat song. I really need just something that sparks writing again. And so that's really where that one came from. And I never actually intended to do anything with that song. So, yeah.
Uh-huh. There it is. It's an awesome one. It's the first track off of Songbird Part 1. And by this time next year, which is the last track, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, well, she's been married to her husband for quite a while. Where's this coming from? But I like how you take stuff, and it's not really what you think is what you're singing about. There's different meaning to different things, which it's cool.
Right. So that song was actually at the end of 2020. I was coming out of just a really hard period of time where I had been pursuing full-time ministry. And once I got into full-time ministry and was really in the midst of all of it, I realized that ministry is still people. There's still all of the stuff that comes from the secular world. It's just in church. And that doesn't mean that there's not wonderful, wonderful things with ministry. It just means that people are still human. And so there's still all of that stuff. And so I ended up leaving ministry, or at least music ministry, for a while. And that was my song at the end of 2020 to basically say, like, okay, this chapter is done. and we're going to just move forward. Like everything that has happened in the past, because there was a couple years that were just a really trying couple of years where I was like, you know what, I think I'm done with music. I think I'm done with all of this. I'm just going to shelf all of it, go find a 9-to-5, and that's it. And that was really my song to myself at the end of 2020, to basically say, you can't just quit. Like, you know, by this
I put
time
too much
next
into
year,
this.
by this time next year, things are going to look different. You're going to be out of this like self-loathing place that you're in, and you're going to be able to look back at this and know that you've grown and know that you're better because of everything that's gone on. And so really that's what that song is. It's that hope of just keep going.
Yeah. Go and check it out by this time next year. It's the last track of Songbird Part 1. We're chatting with Jennifer Alvarado. Go check her out, jenniferalvarado.com. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to Spotify. Listen to all of her other stuff. Trigger Warning, her latest single, comes out tomorrow. You're going to hear it here in just a minute. In May, you went to L.A. and played some shows. How was that?
That was great. I absolutely adore L.A. The music scene is so different out there, and it's so eclectic. There's every style of music. There's not just like this trend of what everything looks like. Every single person at the different rounds and stuff that I went to, they had a different sound. They had a unique sound. So it was, and they were very, they liked other people. They liked being around different styles of music, and they were very welcoming, and that was great to see.
Well, that's good. So that they welcome you with open arms, at least.
Oh yeah. People were super nice. So and just chill. I mean, it's LA, so they were chill.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
Well, and you've got a ton of tour dates this year. Are you booking everything?
I am.
Man.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Well, that's a full-time job right there.
Well, booking is definitely not the most fun of things,
No.
but yeah, you learn a lot.
Man, go to our website, jenniferalvarado.com, if you're anywhere in the North Carolina area. I mean, you're all over Virginia, North Carolina. You got a ton of dates all through the rest of the year. Go and check Jen out if you can. The International Singer-Songwriters Awards, are you going? It's coming up in a month.
I am. I moved the dates that I had for that weekend, and so, yes, my husband and I, we are coming to the show. So
Yeah, because what are you up for, like 5 or 7 awards this year?
Yeah, I think it's 7.
You might be leaving with some hardware.
I hope so. That would be great. That would be an honor. But honestly, I mean, just to be able to go and meet everybody and be there, I think that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, anything beyond that is just icing on the cake.
Can you believe, I mean, you've been welcomed with open arms in the indie community. I mean, we just said it, you're nominated for 7 awards in the International Singer-Songwriters Awards. You've been up for Josie Awards. You're everywhere, Jen. Has it been social media? Has it been, I mean, you did the song with the White House. Has it been collaborations? What's it been?
Honestly, I think it's you just keep going. I try to never rule something out before I even try it. So yeah, I'm open to try new things, and I think that's a huge part of it, is to not be afraid of being told no, because you're going to get told no a lot. I've been told no a lot, and I used to be so afraid of that. But the thing is, it's not that you become immune to it. It still hurts, but you keep going, and you keep realizing that, okay, it doesn't mean, it could mean a no right now. It can mean a no forever, which means just go to another door. But you've just got to keep going. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having the grit and determination that you're going to get told no, you're going to get doors slammed in your face, you know, and I had a lot of criticism, not from the indie side, but I mean, definitely starting out with the church side. Like, I had some people, and I think that you have to get past that and realize that if you have a dream and a passion for this, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what everybody else says. Like, it's you and God, and He will open doors.
Yeah, that's interesting, because we've talked to a ton of artists in the last couple of weeks, and a lot of them have said that. You got to have thick skin in this business, because you are going to hear no a lot, and you just got to keep believing in yourself. Speaking of believing in yourself, birthdays. July 24th is your birthday, Jen. I read your blog. You have a love-hate relationship with birthdays. Songbird Part 2 is coming out on your birthday.
Yes. You know, this project has been so just close. I mean, yeah, any project you have is close to you, but I think that this one, for me, it's been a growth period, and it's been honestly a restoration period of just trying to rediscover myself and rediscovering my passion for music and all of it. And so, yeah, it seems right for this project to keep coming out on my birthday. So part 1 came out on my birthday last year, and it just made sense to me to bring it out on my birthday this year, to kind of complete this project, complete this chapter of my life, and say, here it is.
Well, in your blog, you said you would cry on your birthday every year. Maybe it'll be tears of joy because Songbird Part 1 and 2 are done.
Actually, so I got the final mix yesterday for one of the songs, and I told my husband, I texted him, and I was like, I don't know whether to cry or celebrate or what. Like, I mean, it was just this emotional moment, and I think it's because this project has meant so much, and there was so much stuff that just went into it, writing it, and you know, going into the studio and creating these songs and making sure that the mixes are going with what I want for each song, and really, I guess, the whole vision, and making sure that it's what I'm seeing and what I want and what I'm hearing. So yeah, there's just been a lot of work, and I think when you get to the end of that, it's like, oh, okay. And it's an emotional release. It's just like, okay, now what? Like,
well, yeah.
I just kind of sat there listening to it, like, now what? Okay.
Yeah.
But I am super excited about, because I've already got the next project written. So I'm super excited to get back in the studio and work on that, because, you know, these songs were the past couple years of my life. And so now I want to move forward and show the next chapter.
Yeah. Well, the next chapter, Songbird Part 2, comes out on July 24th. Trigger Warning is your brand new single, comes out tomorrow. It's off Songbird Part 2. Tell us a little bit about the song, Jen.
So in pop culture today, the whole idea of trigger warning, you know, it pops up all the time, especially on social media, of anything that might be distressing to you. And my whole thought behind the song was, well, what if you knew somebody was going to be just damaging, or that situation was just going to be damaging before you ever went through it? It would be nice to know that. So that's really where that song comes from. It's that, you know, hindsight's 20/20, and the song in particular is just about a situation where this person kept bringing out the very worst in me. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Trigger Warning comes out tomorrow. You're going to hear it here in a second. You've done Christian. The Songbird Part 1 was about, like, narcissism. Everything was going great. Then it all kind of fell apart. This one, you're kind of coming back in Part 2. Yeah. What does the music mean to you, Jen?
Survival.
Yeah.
It's always been my therapy. Songwriting has always been how I process things. And so for me, it's almost my hand out to the world to say, hey, I'm here if you need me. Because music was always, growing up, being the only child and being that kid that was shy and everything, music was my safe place. Music was my place where I felt like people understood who I was. Even if I'd never met them, their words meant something to me. And so if I can have that same effect even on one person, and just let somebody know that, like, somebody else gets it and they have a friend and they're not alone in this world, then I've done my job. Like, that's all I can ask for.
Go and check her out. JenniferAlvarado.com. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Her latest single, Trigger Warning, comes out tomorrow. Jen, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here's Trigger Warning. It's KIX 96.5.